Matt Montegrosso here, creator of Xenoplicity and the Q system that it runs on. Today's video, we're just going to briefly touch on the mechanics of Xenoplicity, how the Q system works, what makes it cool, different, fun, all that stuff. The way we do our skill rolls is what we call them in the game. This is going to be your actions or your save rolls, okay? And this this roll is made with a dice pool. You have two different types of dice that are going to get put together. The first is the action die. The action die is a die that always starts off high, and depending on what you're trying to do in a turn, it's going to work its way down in size. So it starts with a D12. And the more actions you do in the turn, the smaller the die size gets. So if you're just doing a single action, you get the D12. If you are doing two actions, you get a D10. If you're doing three actions, you get a D8, and so on. Okay, so the more things you try to cram into your turn, the smaller your action die becomes. The second die is your effect die, and this is determined by what your ER is, your effect rating. This is a number that gets calculated by your stats. You add up all of these things, it's going to give you a number. Depending on what your number is, it's going to give you a type of dice, a dice size, or maybe even multiple dice for you to roll. It might even give you a plus modifier on the roll result. So to give you an example, if your ER is 6, then you get a D6. If your ER is 8, you get a D8. And this number is so easy to calculate. As a matter of fact, even though on the character sheets we do provide a quick reference, okay, to make the gameplay smooth and simple and fast, okay, but in addition to that, you don't really necessarily, once you understand the mechanics and the way that the game works, you don't need to reference this chart as much as you might think, because it's very intuitive what this number is going to be. If you have a 7, it's a D6 plus 1. If you've got a 12, it's a D12. If you've got a 14, it's a D2 plus a D12. Your ER rating, whatever that total number is always going to be the die or the die plus 1 or multiple dice that equal it, okay? If you had a D16, then that's going to be a D4 plus a D12. If you've got if you've got 4, then that's going to be a D4. If you had 2, it's a D4 minus 2. Okay, so even though the quick reference is there for you, once you learn the system and you understand how this is calculated, it's very easy to just quickly to be able to know and understand what dice you're going to get. So if you had an effect rating of 10, you'd have a D10. If you were just doing a single action, you'd have a D12 for your action die. You would add the D12 and the D10 together, and that's your dice pool. You have a D12 and a D10. You're going to figure out whatever those dice are, depending on how many actions you're doing and what your effect rating is for that turn based on what you're trying to accomplish. And then you're going to put those dice together, and that is your dice pool. Now, when you're talking about what to do next with these, you're going to roll these dice, and you're going to add up all the numbers, and it's going to give you a total result, okay? So if you had a D12 and a D6 plus 1, you're going to roll the D12 and the D6 and, add those together and then add 1 to it. Your total number is what's going to determine your success or failure. And you're going to tell that number to the game master, who we call the director. Now, the thing about breaking down the results of these numbers is that when you're doing that, the director is going to look at this number as two separate numbers, okay? They're going to look at this as the tens column and the ones column. Your tens column determines how many successes you have. Your ones column is the degree of success. So, for instance, if you've got anywhere from a 0 to a 9, then that is a failure on some level because you've got 0 successes. There is nothing in the tens column. It is a 0 in the tens column. If you've got between 10 and 19, you have 1 success. If you've got 20 to 29, you've got 2 successes. If you've got 30 to 39, you've got 3 successes, and so on, okay? Now, the ones column, that's going to determine the degree of success or failure. So if you've got a 0 to 3, this is either going to be a botch if you have no successes. If you do have at least 1 success, then 0 to 3 is going to be a hitch. This is where you do succeed, but it comes with a hitch, okay? A hitch means that the game master, the director, is going to gain an initiative token, okay? Now, if you've got results between a 4 and a 6 in the ones column, this is going to be your standard. Now, if you have no successes, this is a fumble. So this is a moderate to bad failure. Okay, it's not quite a botch, but it is still pretty bad. If you've got at least 1 success, then a 4 through 6 is just your standard success. Then nothing additional good or bad happens. It's just whatever your success is, that's what it is. And then if your result in the ones column is between 7 and 9, then this is going to be, if you have no successes, This is your minimal failure. Okay, this is the best case scenario. If you fail, if you've got at least one success, then a 7 through 9 in the ones column is going to be a nailed it. It's our version of a critical success. Okay, and so this means that you, as the player, is going to gain an initiative token in addition to the successes you got on the roll. So if you rolled a 14, then you'd have one success and it would just be a standard success. If you rolled a 5, then that would be a fumble. You have no successes and it's a moderate failure. If you've got a 3 or less on your final roll, then you've botched. You've got a critical failure. Something terrible and awful is going to happen to you. Maybe you die. Maybe you get horribly maimed. Maybe something terrible and tragic happens in a social situation. Who knows? But that is worst case scenario. Okay, if you got a 18 on your roll, then you have one success and you nailed it. So you'll get the one success for whatever it is you're doing, and you also gain an initiative token. Okay, and so that is how the core mechanic of Xenoplicity works. That is how the Q system determines success or failures when it comes to skill rolls. We also have what's called luck rolls. This is just random chance. And so then there's positive and negative modifiers that can make it more likely or less likely to happen. And so luck rolls will get made a lot in the game as well. This is just going to be a D10 roll. You roll the D10, you apply whatever modifiers apply. And if you have a 6 or higher, you succeed. If you have a 5 or less, you fail. And that is a big bulk of the rolling, either a skill roll or a luck roll. And so those things are going to be done a lot throughout gameplay. And these are the core kind of mechanics that make Xenoplicity work. They work really well together. The game is fast, it's easy, it's fun, it flows very well. Another thing about Xenoplicity is that it is a player-facing system, so players are constantly making rolls. In addition to that, the way turns work in Xenoplicity is all the players are acting at the same time, and so you don't have this idea, you don't have this feeling of waiting for your turn to play the game. I know that in a lot of tabletop role-playing games, you get this situation where you wait for 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes before it's your turn to play, and then when it's your turn, you got your things together, you roll your dice, you either succeed or fail, and then you're just stuck to waiting another 10 or 15 or 20 minutes to play again because you're doing a turn order where there's like a pecking order on a piece of paper or on a board, and so you kind of have to wait for your turn to go. In Xenoplicity, we don't have that. Everyone's acting at the same time. Everyone's staying engaged throughout the game session, and so you don't have this idea of idle downtime where the player is bored or where they're causing distractions or whether they're trying to talk or play on their phone. Or cut jokes at the table. And so this really works very well. It creates a dynamic at your table where it really emphasizes collaborative storytelling and just fun and excitement at the table in a way that a lot of other games, as much as they may try, they just can't seem to replicate because they're using that old kind of traditional standard for how a turn order works. And we don't do that. We go a different route with that. We've got something new, something innovative, and we think it is a better way to game. It is a more efficient use of time, and so what it does is it makes sure that during the game, while everyone's playing, everyone is playing together, everyone's engaged, no one's being left out, and things are happening very, very much in a very exciting, fun way. Where the table really comes to life. There's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of fun. Another thing about when everyone's acting at the same time, you get this kind of cool dynamic that you can't get in a lot of other games that are more turn-based in a traditional sense, because in Xenoplicity, it is very possible that multiple players will decide to do the same thing at the same time, and they don't necessarily realize that another player is doing that thing. And so you might say, well, that sounds counterproductive, or that sounds a little bit chaotic. The thing is, it's not, though, because the way a turn works in Xenoplicity is everybody is rolling at the same time, and then they're telling their results to the game master, and that game master is then going to take all those results and then drive the narrative with it. They're going to say, okay, so in my mind's eye, this is what this looks like. And they're going to start elaborating and explaining all these things, and they can do this in any way, in any order, in any combination that they want. And so as the director describes maybe you running up and attacking this one bad guy, he's also describing another one of the player characters running up and also attacking this bad guy. If you both said, I'm attacking this bad guy, and you're rolling for it at the same time. And so you get these kind of cool combo attacks and these kind of moments in the game that really come to life and in really fun and just really crazy ways. So where in some situations you might have total overkill as one bad guy gets, totally creamed and destroyed, but then another bad guy maybe that got ignored or wasn't paid attention to, maybe they actually have a moment to shine too and really come at the players, their player characters in a way that is just different or that wasn't expected. Because it's all being narrated based on what the dice results were in the moment. Okay, so you get emergent storytelling, you get collaborative storytelling and role playing at the table. And guys, it's just a lot of fun. So anyways, let me know what you think below in the comments and have a great day.